Hello internet, my name is Lanebot and this is my millionth time trying to record this video. I want to start recording some more content for you guys, and I've been going pretty actively on IG and stuff, and I've been getting a lot of the so all I'm doing is I have the mic here, which is what my voice is coming through, and then I just dropped in an 808 chord kit and a grand piano. One of the questions I've been getting a lot is, bro, how do you write so much stuff, and then how do you get through the writing process so quick? And it's a fair question, but it's actually a lot easier than you think. The main thing is I focus on the creative aspects of the song, and I worry about the details a lot later. So I'm just going to move this clap a tiny bit over. And this is so I don't have to use this metronome here. Just notice I put a rim shot there instead of a kick. That's fine. It'll work. Okay, so we have our little drum kit. We're going to move this up to about 150, which is where I like to work most of the time. The BPM, it really doesn't matter. It's just more for like getting your notes in. The other reason I like to work with this piano here is because it does not hide your notes. It does not make them sound cooler just because you have a really cool sounding synth. If your notes are crap, it will sound like crap. I am not any type of professional piano player. I don't pretend to be. But we're going to make some cool sounding stuff in a second. We're going to keep it simple, so let's just go with that. Let's record this in. And that's pretty much it. Let's make this shorter just so you can kind of get an idea of how this will really work. And C can probably go here. I'm just kind of feeling it out, figuring out all the notes as I go. So we got this little riff. Crop it. It doesn't sound bad, doesn't sound great. So I'm going to show you how I can add a lot more life and kind of make some more MIDI for me to play with just this very simple riff that we got going. So one of the things that we're going to do is just jump into the MIDI effects here. We're going to add some different velocity and just kind of pump up the drive a little bit. Okay. It's a very minimal change because they were all kind of fairly the same. The keys I'm using for this is actually just the ones on my Mac. I'm not even using my MIDI keyboard. I was having so many issues recording this video. The next thing we're going to do is actually add the scale right here. We're just going to make sure that we stay in key. So we're in F. If you don't know what scale you're in, that's fine. You can actually use this to kind of dictate what you're going to write the rest of the song in. So if you wanted to be in G sharp, that's fine. It's just going to keep you in G sharp. So we're just going to stay in F here. And we're kind of good to go. The next thing we're going to do is this chord thing. And this is where the actual magic happens. So I have a very kind of specific chord thing that I like to use, so I'm not going to get into explaining what this is, because that's going to be a whole other 30-20 minute video. Well, what I am going to say is this: with the shift, what happens is when I hit one key, it's going to play that key and 7 semitones up, and then 14, 16, and so on. So now when I hit one key, I have a chord, which is great. So we're just going to finish these guys up right here. This one's almost 2 octaves, and now we got 6 keys being pressed when I hit one key. We got instant chords. So now this is what that sounds like. Okay, actually doesn't sound too bad. It's a little tough to hear. I have a huge echo going on. Hopefully it doesn't come across in the video. So kind of like where this is at. Now the rest is going to be making this MIDI really shine, and we're going to create a new MIDI track. That's Command Shift T if you're on Mac. We're going to arm this track to record. We're going to select the MIDI from the grand piano, and now we're going to see what the notes are actually doing. So that's cool. So now we have the real MIDI that is being played after our MIDI effects go in. And this is what the resulting MIDI looks like after I pretty much played this thing with one finger on my keyboard, like my computer keyboard. So we're going to hold Alt and drag this back over. We're going to rename this, let's just call it Lame Chords for now. I'm going to go into the grand piano, and this stuff, we're going to select it all. I'm going to group it, and I'm going to turn off the group. Back to single keys, but now we got, so this is the original, but now we got the actual chords here, and great. So some of you are already kind of like, oh, whatever, doesn't sound human, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to find a quick fix for that. Just going to bring this down. We're going to rename this Humanized because some of you are nitpicky. For a lot of the stuff, I kind of want this to be very much on time. Sometimes you don't. It really doesn't matter. It's however you want to write your music, man. Like, don't let anyone tell you how to do your stuff. So let's just shrink these all in real quick. I'm leaving one, the bottommost note, and then I'm going to pull these back. So they're not all going to start at the same exact time. Whoop. I'm pulling the note start point, not the actual note. So you see they all end the same. I just zoomed in a lot because the change is going to be pretty negligible, but it's going to be enough to make a difference in the sound. So now that first chord sounds like this. And we can kind of go through and do that to the rest of this. So this is the part where I'm going to fast forward my work. And now it really doesn't matter like your start points and end points. Your endpoints should be kind of sharp. Your start points on this stuff, it really doesn't matter which ones you move around. It's all to taste. So, you know, there's no set rule for that. But now it sounds like this. Which is pretty cool. So the other thing I'm going to do is kind of make a little bass line out of this. I'm going to grab the original lame chords over here. We're going to hit Alt and drag them down again. And we're going to make a bass, I guess? Question mark. So let's figure that out. And what we're going to do is kind of just leave the bottommost chords. The bottommost keys or notes. So we can erase this and this guy. And then pretty much everything else above it. And truth be told, we can actually just make this a 4-bar loop as well. So we can crop that. Sorry guys, I talk to myself a lot while I work. So let's bring these down to about that. So what I'm going to do is kind of just like little staccato notes for the bass. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, don't worry. You can visually see what's happening. So we're just going to take these two. And you know what? Let's make these shorter, actually. All right, cool. So now we have a weird little bass-ish line. And this is definitely way too separated, so let's bring these in. And that's okay, but it could probably be a little lower. So let's just select it all, hold shift and the down key, and now it's an octave lower. Great. So we got that. Let's actually just drop a very simple bass in here. Go to instruments. Good. Okay, so we got... Oh, sorry. And we're back. So we got that bass going, and we're going to just go ahead and copy the MIDI over. Hold Alt. Just copy it right there. We don't have to play this one, and we can... That's way too loud. Let's bring this down. And bam, we got that, and then we can play our little humanized chords. And we got a song going. The other thing we can do is kind of just right here in this MIDI, let's bring in another instrument. Wow, that is super loud, so let's bring this down. Alright, that sounds cool with chords. And it's the same that are these. If you want, we'll just kind of bloop and bring this down. And so we got this and our bass. And we got our drums. And we got our human chords. And if we want to, then we can actually go in and we can switch chords around. We can cut this up. We can kind of shorten everything. It doesn't really matter, but we have like a whole song almost written in not that long of a time. The other thing we can do is actually go into the MIDI effects, and we can change the note length. Let me just solo these two so you guys can hear what's going on. Let me mute or turn off this note length. And we got that. And then we can also add an arpeggiator. We're going to add the arpeggiator before the note length. And now we're going to take a listen to this song. So that's pretty much it. That's how I get started on tracks real fast and just kind of start writing everything. I'm very quickly, I'll just go in, I'll make a very simple drum loop like you saw. I'll play in some riffs. Not very talented at that, but I know Ableton enough to be dangerous. And then I'll go ahead and kind of recycle that MIDI and play that MIDI, use it in different instruments. And then I'll hit tab and I'll start arranging. Once that arrangement is done, then I will go back and actually start making the synths sound more or less exactly how I want them, changing out the drums, making it more complicated, doing little chops and things like that. That's all detail work. That's stuff that I can do another day. I like to kind of just get through the writing process, the creative process as much as possible, and then go into those small details later. But that's it. Let me know if this was helpful. If you want some more of this stuff, hit me up on IG, hit me up on Twitter @LaneBotMusic. Peace.